Good afternoon and welcome to the second episode of Conversations on Health, live from Tobago here at Wilson's Music Center with Dr. Kenny Bastien and myself, Natoya Johnson Chapman. Thank you so much for joining us for this second episode. Hope we served you well in the first episode. We're looking forward to have a full today. Dr. Bastien, welcome and good afternoon. Are you there? Okay. So Doc is having some technical difficulties. All right. So we would get back onto him shortly. Right. So when we get back, Doc, on the line, we would start the full program, of course. Let me tell you, today we are going to talk about, let me get that for you real quick. Hi, Doc, are you hearing me? So we're not seeing you online. So if you could just come back online for us so we can start these beautiful conversations. We have a lot of folks anticipating our program today, and we're looking forward to bringing that good information. All right, so here's what, let's go to our billboard, and when we come back, we have Doc on, yes? All right, Doc, we are back. And Doc is back as well. Are you there?
I am.
Yes, I'm hearing you.
I
I'm
am.
hearing you.
I can just see
You
it.
just, right, but I'm
Okay.
just not seeing you.
Okay.
Yes? All right, so we'll get you up and running.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. I can see you now. All right.
Beautiful.
Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect. I know you're a busy man, and I appreciate that you could even make the time out to have conversations on health. I mean, you are the Dr. Kenny Bastien, of course. So it's great to have this series with you once again, yes? Right. So I was going to say to the viewers that the topic today, we're looking at how to make food your medicine, correct? Can you hear me, Doc? I can see you, but I can't hear you. Yes. All right. So keep talking and let's see if we could get your audio in clear. You know, when it says you start something good and you have a big message, all kinds of things will start happening. And this is no different, of course. So, Doc, keep talking. Let's see if we could get your audio up and running. So, what I want to tell the viewers in the meantime, of course, we will talk and show and highlight Dr. Kenny Bastien's book, one of his books, Common Foods with Wonderful Healing Properties, right? Um, we have this book here in studio with us, live from Wilson's Music Center here in Marisol, Tobago. And we are really elated to have Dr. Bastien with us. He's really, or has been really, a gem to society with the information and the knowledge that he has and continues to share with us. Yeah? So, Dr. Bastien, are you hearing me clearly? Right, I am still not hearing you, and we need to hear you, the viewers need to hear you, so we can get into this juicy topic and share that good information. So just check your audio, turn up your volume, something like that, yeah? Let's see if that would work out. Okay. I am. No, I'm not hearing you. So I'm just calling on the technical guys here in studio with us. Just check this monitor for me. I'm seeing a mute signal being shown. Right? So just check it for me. Guys, this is live, and this is what happens when we're live sometimes. All kinds of things happen, but you have to be ready to roll with the punches, no matter what, and see how we get that done, because we have work to do today. We have to have these conversations on health. Yeah. And I'm still not hearing Dr. Bastien. Just double check to see if your mic is muted. Look on your screen, Dr. Bastien, and just see if there's a symbol that indicates that you're muted or not. But your video is clear, your angles were perfect just now. Just see if your mic is muted. But you're still hearing me, right? Yes, he can hear me. Yeah. I can't hear you, but I'm seeing a muted sign on your video. So I need you to check and find somewhere or the other if you could unmute that. Turn up the volume. All right, guys, so I guess he's going to try to sign in again. Tech, I'm just asking you to, I'm still seeing the muted sign there, so it seems like it's something that is on this screen here. So whilst we wait on Dr. Bastien to come in, what we will do is just kind of give you a synopsis of what's in the book. So he's going to try back the link, right? And we will see if we could get him back in. Or should we generate a new link to have Dr. Bastien in? Right? He is calling us from Miami. And we are definitely looking forward to having this conversation with him. Right. Okay, so as I said, we will go through the book to some extent, conversations on health, common foods with wonderful healing properties, So some of the things you can find in this book, all right? Please let me know when Dr. Bastian is back up so we could go and roll with that conversation. So we have the food composition, which is something we spoke about in last week's conversation on health. We spoke about the food composition. And actually, let me go to that one time, seeing that we have some new viewers as well who joined us last week, and we were talking about that food composition. Um, so this synopsis that Dr. Bastian wrote here in this book, there's a beautiful picture of him behind there. He says we can no longer ignore the fact that the lack of nutrients is the fundamental cause of diseases. Any population confined to some eating habits will develop similar disease patterns. For instance, black people living in America, very often suffer from diabetes and high blood pressure. This condition has nothing to do with race. It is instead the result of cultural eating habits, right? Any group subjected to the same eating habits throughout several generations would fall prey to the same nutritional fate. That's a very interesting statement. The nutritional needs of humans are similar for all races regardless of social class. The human body requires, for its maintenance and development, a diversified diet that includes all of the nutritional elements necessary for psychological functions. Every illness is associated with a nutritional deficiency. Right? Let me read that again. Every illness is associated with a nutritional deficiency. Osteoporosis, for example, is caused by a lack of calcium. Anemia can result from iron deficiency. The effectiveness of vegetable and fruit juices rests in the knowledge of their chemical composition. Right? The following charts will accurately indicate the amount and quality of chemical ingredients found in fruits, vegetables to be included in your diet and therapeutic purposes. And of course, in the book, there's a chart with legumes, nuts and seeds, fruits, acidic fruits, right? Is Dr. Bastian back up? Semi-acidic fruits, sweet fruits, etc. And also in this book, we have a comparative contents of mineral salts in diverse food. This is excellent, Dr. Bastian. It's basically breaking down, um, you know, the mineral salts in foods, right, per gram, which I find very interesting. Yeah? So, Common Foods with Wonderful Healing Properties by Dr. Kenny Bastian. We are still trying to get him back up online. Not sure. Yes,
Um,
you're there. I can hear
yes.
you. Excellent. Excellent. Great. So, yes, I was just telling our viewers about your wonderful book and the food composition, which is a brilliant illustration you have here as well, whilst we were waiting for you to come back up. So, without further ado, of course, as you just set up there quickly, I want us to get into the topic that we have for today, right? Which is how to make food your medicine. How to make food your medicine. All right? If you could center yourself a little bit in the camera, that'd be great. And we could get straight into that, Dr. Bastian.
We're doing just that.
Yes, thank you so much. And thank you so much to our viewers for your patience. Look at this as your midday nugget for just goodness, your midday nugget for information, your midday nugget for learning, your midday nugget for sharing. And of course, we'll be here every Wednesday from 1:30. Of course, today we just had a little technical difficulties, as you can see. But thank you so much for your patience and for being with us here today. All right, Dr. Bastian,
Absolutely.
take it away.
Yes. I want to
Excellent.
give glory to God today, and all the glory be to God. It's by His grace and His power. that we're having this session now, all the difficulties that we've met doesn't come from us. And we know that there are strange, very strange things happening. And this moment is for the glory of God and the betterment of mankind. Hippocrates was saying that make your food your medicine and your medicine your food. This is the topic we want to explain, to clarify to each one of us today, because we don't understand those things. And within the same context, you've seen many trends coming, such as diet and your blood type, food according to your blood type. Last night, I had a Zoom in which I mentioned the connection between your metabolic profile and your immune system, your biochemical individuality, and your energy, metabolic energy. You see, our body is a transformer. Our body has the ability to transform things coming from outside. When you eat, you become, as a matter of fact, a transforming uh, machine. That's what you do. In, why do you have to transform what is outside? Food is something that is outside of you. So why do you have to transform food? The whole thing is about energy, energy, frequency, and that's what the whole world is about. And
Absolutely.
God Himself is supreme energy. Remember when Moses was in the cleft of the rock and he said, "Let me see your glory." God told him, "You cannot see me and live," because the frequency, the vibration of God would annihilate completely the frequency of Moses, because it would be overwhelming. Well, we are facing the same situation. Uh, God energy is light. Guess what? Each atom of our body is made of light. The ultimate part, the ultimate substance of the atom is light. And I used to refer people to the light wave back upward. It's because this is the type of, you see, men are working very seriously. It's one for knowledge. You, and you cannot fake it. You cannot fake it. A lot of people pretend to know what they know, but it takes time, it takes energy, it takes a lot of investment, time, you see, and a lot of studies to come up with things. I have no book in my hands, okay? But I went, people are asking me, who am I? Well, I went to school for 18 years, and there was a lawyer that attempted to degrade what I do, but he's going to meet my lawyer, and my lawyer is Jesus Christ. So he attempted to degrade, to diminish, to, and that's how white people do. They bring down black, and black is superior. I'm so sorry. We are the melanin people, and we have that power that God has given us. The knowledge belong to us. So when you see they are poisoning our food, they are depriving us from the money that we need to blossom. But in spite of all, we still rise. We still rise. Now, what is important for us? You need to know that when you eat your food, you're giving energy to your body. And with that energy, you can transform that energy to develop yourself, to express yourself, to blossom. So that's why you need to understand a lot of things. Knowledge is important at that stage. Your metabolic profile, you need to know what it is. You need to understand also the type of food that suits you best. You see, a lot of people are coming with a lot of theory, but today, what we're going to try to do, that's why it was so difficult for us to start with this program. A lot of us, many people are getting sick because of the food they eat. They don't know their metabolic, they don't know their type. They don't know which food suit them best. They don't understand the connection between food and their own personal energy, the development of the personality. Did you know that the type of food that you eat has a direct impact on your personality? If you eat carb and carb and carb and carb, what do? You eat a lot of starch, for example. A lot of starch become glue in your system. And that glue slow down the neurotransmitters of your brain. And if you have a slow neurotransmitter, that means the nervous signal that trigger the hormone secretions, that send the electrical signal to your brain. All those signals become extremely slow, and provoke, they don't get the result that you anticipate. So you're sluggish, you're sleepy, and your reasoning is slow. So this is the connection, just to help you understand. On top of that, the type of food that you eat, according to the way the metabolic pathway is taken by the food, you're going to generate metabolic waste. There are two options. Whether you produce a lot of toxins coming from the food, or the glucose, because all food that you eat must be transformed into glucose, and that glucose must go to the Krebs cycle. And when that glucose get into the Krebs cycle, the entrance is pyruvic acidosis. Pyruvic acid. The pyruvic acid is the gate to the mitochondria. When you enter to the mitochondria, then you're going to produce ATP. That's the outcome. ATP is what we call adenosine triphosphate. Adenosine triphosphate is used by all cells of the body to as the unit, the energy unit. So your glucose become ATP, and that's your energy. So more clean your ATP is, more powerful you become in your way of thinking, in the way you behave, with your resistance to diseases. It's all come down to your energy level, your ATP. Now, let me explain that to you so you can understand the connection. That's why we're talking about food. Not everything is food. When you eat, for example, a food loaded with additives, well, the additives will block the delivery of the nutrients that you need. And if you don't have the proper concentration of nutrients, you cannot have the level of ATP that you need to give you the energy, the stamina that you need to function. There is a connection between food and energy. Your food can be your medicine, is that food can deliver the energy you need to boost your immune system. Your food will enhance the function of your metabolic, the lipid metabolism, the protein metabolism, the carbohydrate metabolism. It's all about energy. So that's why you need to understand which food suits you best. Which food suits you best? What does that mean? That means the food that you can absorb and transform easily. There are certain food that you eat them, but you can transform them because genetically, and that's where your genes come in the picture. You see, that's why they're talking about blood type and genes. They're talking blood type and genes, of course, that your genes that determine your blood type. But blood type and your food is important because your blood is the carrier of the nutrients. So that means you have receptors, specific receptors, according to your blood type, that will be able to identify the nutrients that suit best your metabolic activity. Your, your, your blood is the carrier that will carry the nutrients to different sections of your body that need it most. Did you know that your liver need a lot of zinc? Did you know that your breast needs zinc? Did you know that your ovaries need zinc? Did you know that your prostate needs zinc? Yes. So if your blood doesn't have the proper receptors to carry the zinc to the specific target where the zinc is much needed, did you know that your brain needs zinc? Do you know that a lot of people become mentally impaired because they don't have enough zinc in their brain?
I love where you're going, Dr. Bastian. As always, as always. Yeah, I know we were having a conversation in the past and we spoke about your blood type and the foods that person should eat. So I'm glad that you're going down that line of the communication that you're doing right now regarding the zinc and who needs it and why. So go ahead. I'm just excited behind you.
But it's so important because a lot of people become schizophrenic. A lot of people end up with, you see, when you eat a lot of vegetarian meat, the vegetarian meat is made of gluten. And I know there are a lot of Seventh-day Adventists that they want to be vegetarian and they eat a lot of gluten. But the gluten trigger brain allergy because it's a type of protein that the system cannot break down. So that's why I said you have to identify the type of food that suits you best. Because according to the type of food, you eat food, any food that you choose, you select must provide you the energy that you need to function. That's bottom line.
Absolutely.
And the energy, and all food must be transformed. Uh, You cannot, any food that you must be transformed into glucose. You eat protein, protein must be transformed into glucose. Did you know that? You eat fat, fat must be transformed into glucose. You eat carb, carb with glucose by itself must be transformed into glucose. Because it's only glucose that gets into the mitochondria to go to undergo what we call the Krebs cycle. Is that Krebs cycle must transform the glucose into ATP, adenosine, and that's the energy that you have to all our listeners. You to listen to me, you need to produce energy. For me to talk to you, I need to produce energy. And more, all that is more. And it's my nervous system that makes it possible for my brain, okay, to select the type of word the I express. It's also your nervous system that makes it possible for your ears to sort out the sound that is coming to you and for your brain to transform that sound into a meaningful message. If you don't have it, that will not happen. It's ATP everywhere doing the job. So you see, this is something phenomenal when we look at what God is doing inside of us. But we take those things lightly. We don't realize that we need to be very selective, careful with the type of food that we are eating. But in order to do that, you need to know what profile you have. What is your profile? Or your profile is determined by your genes. That's what we call the metabolic profile. Metabolics mean transform. Metabolic, that means you're going to transform something. Every food that you get, to transform the food into energy, into ATP. So a lot of people become sick because they love food. Uh, uh, they love food that is not compatible to their metabolic profile. And everybody's asking themselves the question, my Lord, how is it going to be possible? How is it going to be possible for me to know my metabolic profile? That's why we are here today. And my phone number is 407-765-5075. You can go on WhatsApp, you will find me. 407-765-5075. 5075. Many people are suffering from cancer. They are suffering from arthritis. They are suffering all the time from high blood pressure, diabetes, because they keep eating the type of food that is not compatible with their metabolic profile. Where are you going to go to find that type of information? So you may be in love with the best food that your parents gave you from birth. There is what we call the cultural diet. The cultural diet. A lot of you see, God is so merciful. The cultural diet. You keep eating things that you like because you've been raised that way. So you've been exposed to that type of food, and that's what you like. But unfortunately for you, this food is not compatible to your metabolic profile. What do I mean by that? If your metabolic profile is more prone to process protein, and they give you a lot of ground provision, a lot of carb, you see, it's the percentage that makes the difference. All of us, to a certain level, we are equipped with the ability to process carb, protein, and lipids. Yes, we are equipped. But in what percentage? Is the percentage that makes the difference. A lot of people can eat a lot of carb, they will have no problem. A lot of people can eat a lot of protein, no problem. A lot of people, a lot of fat, no problem. But how much of each do you need? And that's where we come in the picture. That's how your metabolic profile is designed according to the percentage of each type of a type of food you can process. You need to know that, so that each time that you fix your meal, you keep that balance. What is the benefit of such knowledge? The benefit of it is that you are not going to impose on yourself a percentage of food that you know you can't digest. But food is addictive. A lot of people, they are addicted to sugar. A lot of people are addicted to fried food. But what if the ability for you to process your fried food is only 5%, and you 90% of your food are fried food? You're in deep trouble. You're not going to break down that food. Guess what? You're going to end up with a lot of what we call metabolic waste resulting from the fat. A lot of triglycerides that come from fat. A lot of cholesterol that come from fat. So if you have an excess of cholesterol, that excess of cholesterol will combine itself with your calcium. And guess what? Calcium and cholesterol trigger calcification. And calcification is the first cause of cancer. I say that because don't you see that when you go to the doctor, they will say, oh, you have breast calcification, you have prostate calcification, you have ovarian calcification. It all starts with calcification. But there is no drug that help you reverse the calcification process. They can come up with, let's say, chelation therapy, but the chelation they give you will remove not only the calcium, but it will remove the potassium, the magnesium, all the other minerals that you need. And on top of that, you have the heavy metals that they can put as filling in your mouth, and your own teeth keep leaking from the amalgam, from the fillings, the heavy metals such mercury, lead, all those things that the dentist put in there. All those things can conflict with your metabolic profile. So you you go to the doctor and they said, well, you have inflammation, I'm going to give you steroids. Steroid doesn't solve the problem. The inflammation is a normal reaction of the body to slow down the pathological process. But us, what we need to know, and that's where we come into picture. You see, at KENOR International, the company is there for 29 years. And I've been doing this for 45 years, all over Europe. I choose to teach, and I got a mixed curriculum as a medical doctor. But now, what the system does, the pharmaceutical process, They join forces with Illuminati, Bill Gates, all those criminals out there to poison your food. Now, do you know that they just discovered, I think in Wisconsin, a factory where they are killing humans and they are mixing their food with cow's meat and they are putting that on the market. They put them, and you are eating the type of food you don't know if it's human food or not, human meat. And it's in the news, and they have to arrest the owner of that factory. But not many people are talking about how long they've been doing that. Do you know that they found in that factory the remain of many missing black people? They pick you up and they transform you into meat to put on the market. Those are serious things. Those are serious things. So that's why you see people who love meat, you don't know what type of meat that you're eating. And as a matter of fact, we don't need meat. Let's say the blood type O positive, for example. We need meat, we need proteins, but it's not meat we need. And the body, God is so gracious. When you eat your meat, it's not the meat that you really need. You need the essential amino acid that the meat can provide. So if you go to the health food store, you say, well, I need meat, I need meat. It's not meat that you need. You need the essential amino acid because your body must transform that meat into amino acid. And when you transform your food into amino acid, uh, you need a certain level of ATP to do that job. You could save that energy by using directly the amino acid firsthand. So that means less metabolic waste. Because when you eat a lot of meat, you end up with uric acid, oxalic acid. When you eat a lot of carbs, you end up with pyruvic acid, and that causes arthritis. So that's why it is important for us to know, according to your metabolic profile, there are certain food that you can eat with less metabolic waste. Other food that you eat, if they are not compatible to your profile, you're going to, if they are compatible to your profile, you will produce less metabolic waste. And the metabolic waste, now let me give you an example so you can understand. If you eat a lot of bread and your system is for protein, you're going to produce a lot of pyruvic acid. Pyruvic acid will trigger arthritis. Arthritis means inflammation of the joints. That is going to trigger high blood pressure because carb, when you eat a lot of carb that you cannot break it down, you produce a lot of cholesterol. Cholesterol binds itself with calcium, and that trigger deposit that block movement of your arteries. Pressure will go the same reason. So you understand, and you go to your doctor, the doctor cannot tell you what to do to reverse that blockage. Well, they can prescribe hydrochlorothiazide. They can prescribe diuretic. They can prescribe a certain drug, chlorothiazide. Because your kidney is going to end up with kidney stones, your gallbladder is going to end up with gallstones, and all those deposits coming clog your arteries, blood clot. Why the pressure goes up? Because the brain is asking for oxygen, and the volume of blood that should go through is not enough to supply the level of oxygen that you need. So automatically, the blood pressure goes up to meet that request. So you taking pills for your blood pressure, and most of the blood pressure pill give you high blood pressure. Lisinopril, for example. So why? Because you're making a fundamental mistake. You don't know your metabolic profile. And on a daily basis, although you're taking your blood pressure medication, but you are eating the type of food that cause the blood pressure to go up. because it's not compatible to your metabolic profile. So this is the type of mistake that at KENOR International scientifically we said there is a big mistake taking place, and mothers are killing their babies. They don't realize that. Husband, wife, uh, wives are killing their husband because your wife doesn't know her metabolic profile, and the husband doesn't know his own metabolic profile. But it's the wife that is cooking the food for the husband. And sometimes it's
Dr. Bastian is on a roll. I love it. I
just,
love it. So your metabolic profile is so important to understand because it can affect so many different things within your being naturally, your being with others, your daily activities, and it could affect your mood.
absolutely, it
Tell us
can
about
affect
it.
your mood. When you drink a lot of alcohol,
When you
there are
drink a
people
lot
that,
of alcohol,
yes,
talk
well,
about that.
if you love champagne, you love your whiskey, you love a lot of people, they have no problem drinking as much as they can because the system can take. But they are not, they take alcohol gone, you know. Well, your food affect your mood, and the clear example of that is when you drink. When you drink, you can drive. Uh, there is what we call a dyskinesia. Dyskinesia that takes place. What is dyskinesia? When you are in motion, you cannot appreciate distance. You can you can't appreciate anymore after you drink. That's why it's not. There is something called tardive dyskinesia. That means you cannot appreciate the obstacle, the curve that you need to take. You cannot appreciate the distance between the speed and the distance, yeah, that you're driving. So that when you reach the obstacle, it's too late. Your reflex will not allow you to avoid it because you have not been able to appreciate it. Many people, when they drink, that's what happened to your brain. You can't appreciate the distance. But some people, they can drink, but it still work for them, no problem. That again has to do with their metabolic profile. So your food can change your mood. A lot of people, some people they are married, they are happily married, they love each other, but the food that the wife is feeding the husband make him angry every day, and she doesn't know. She doesn't know that that food that the husband loves so much. A lot of people I know they love white rice. They say my rice must be white on the table. They eat their white rice on a daily basis. But the same white rice is making them so volatile. And your food, your sugar is your worst. And many people can. Why? Because sugar flush out your vitamin B1, your thiamine, because you need thiamine to process carbs. So any type of monosaccharides, polysaccharides, you're going to require a lot of vitamin B1 thiamine because that's the first step of the breaking down of glucose, of sugar or starch. So a lot of people they love starch, but they don't take B1. So if I'm taking a lot of starch, it's highly recommended that at least I take 500 milligram or 1000 milligram of B1 on a daily basis. Because if I'm a vegetarian, you need a lot of B1. And there are many reasons for that. Not only vitamin B1 is important to break down your, your starch, but vitamin B1 stimulate your adrenal gland to produce a specific hormone called erythropoietin. The erythropoietin goes to the bone marrow to stimulate the bone marrow to produce erythroblast. That means red blood cells. So the vitamin B1 is important for your blood pressure because more blood, your blood count is connected to the amount of vitamin B1. Don't you see that when you eat a lot of starch, you have a tendency to be anemic? When you eat a lot of starch, you have a tendency to increase your blood pressure. Two factors. You don't have, there's a deficiency, there's a kind of B1 avitaminosis, lack of vitamin B1. Don't you think you need to study to get that type of information in your brain? How many doctors will come and sit down and break it down for you? Food on a daily basis that you're eating is causing you to develop high blood pressure. It's not lisinopril that is going, it's not amlodipine that is going to reverse the blood pressure. You need to identify what the root cause of the blood pressure. Your blood count is low. I've been anemic my whole life, but you love starch and you don't take B1. Do you begin to understand the complexity of the process and your responsibility to educate yourself? You know, cannot rely on a pill to solve such a sophisticated process. No way. It's not possible. That's why I said I took upon myself to uh, use education. Health education is the answer for the whole world. That's what I say. For the whole world. And there is not one pill that is going to solve the problem. Now everybody's coming with Shilajit, everybody's saying Moringa. Come on, let's be serious. All those things are extremely good because they provide a wide spectrum of nutrients, and that's the benefit of them. But what if you have all that spectrum and one thing like the B1 is missing? You see, well, I'm doing Moringa, I'm doing Shilajit, but I still don't see the result. You're going to get some result, but the key answer that you're looking for, you don't get it because that's where your metabolic profile is important. It will be wonderful for you to take all those things, knowing exactly the type of food that suits you best, and that's your metabolic profile. And this is why such a meeting is important. And you begin to understand that the enemy doesn't want you to hear those things because this will empower you to such extent that they can control your mind. They cannot put you to sleep anymore. And many of us, we're walking in the street, we look like zombie. We don't have the reaction we need because our nervous system doesn't have the speed, and the speed is directly connected to the ATP, adenosine triphosphate. The adenosine triphosphate come from the food you eat. Don't you know that we are two type of, I would say, glycolysis? Glycolysis. You see, when I look up like that, it's memory. I'm catching up memory. Those are morphopsychology. You see, when somebody's looking at, we're trying to remember the eye, the brain, those are gesture, morphopsychology. So I'm trying to remember to evoke certain information that I have to go and collect that from my library, my brain library.
I love it. I want to just pop in as well as you got so excited about sharing those starchy foods. A lot of persons just think, but I don't do that. And it's because you don't understand what you're doing, why you say don't do that. So let me give you an idea of some of the things that are starchy. We're talking about rice, we're talking about
Yes.
oats, corn, right? Pastas, cereals. Oh my gosh, and this could go on. So if it is your plate has a macaroni pie with some fried rice and a potato salad, your plate is full with starch. So imagine that. That's three things there. The plate is a circle and some plates are square, but at the end of the day, you already take up the majority of the plates with starch, right? So that's just an idea of some of the starchy things that are on our plate currently and that we could reduce them. All right? Even yams and lentils are also rich in starch. Right? So, yes, I just wanted to drop that nugget inside there, Dr. Bastian.
Well, all those foods are good. I want people to all those foods are good, but When you know your metabolic profile, you'll be able to identify the percentage
Correct.
of it to use on a daily basis.
Correct.
Because
Correct.
to a certain your body can break them down. But when you go beyond a limit, you begin to generate a lot of toxins. And you need to know what type of metabolic waste you end up with when you eat a lot of carb. You're going to produce ethanol. Those are metabolic waste. Ethanol, triglycerides, and cholesterol. All those come from bread. All the starch, you just produce that if that's what you eat on a daily basis. A lot
Correct.
of people tell me, well, oats on a daily basis. Every morning, that's the breakfast. That's total fully. Me, the ideal breakfast for me would be uh, one day I would wake up and plantain, a codfish, a lot of onion. Uh, I would mix it with cayenne pepper and plantain, codfish, onion. Uh, that would be my breakfast in the morning. I put in carbs, okay, and with a good seasoning. My seasoning must be olive oil, garlic, okay, olive oil, garlic, lemon. You mix that and you spread it over your feet, onion, and your plantain. Man, you got a good balance. Now the plantain is easy because it's completely hard. It's easy to process. On top of that, it's loaded with specific vitamin break down the carb. Now I think about my garlic is powerful antibiotic. We need antibiotics because each food that we eat come with bacteria. Can you imagine the combination? You think about those. You can even add some tomato with that in the morning. One day I would do that. The other day, I would, love scrambled eggs when I mix it with. Don't be surprised with me the next day. With my scrambled eggs or my omelette, I might want like that. Onion, I want pineapple in my omelette. Why do I? Pineapple do that that need to break down the protein. Also, pineapple give me omelette, but my egg must be white. Okay, we went. I pay attention to all those. So I have a book that I've been reading. The Self-Sufficient Backyard. The self-sufficient backyard explain to you how you can create all those things. You create a system that you come off grid completely. And I'm getting ready for Tobago. Tobago, you can wait for me. Everybody will be willing to come to the place to eat because Tobago has everything. Tobago has everything. Tobago, when people of Tobago, they become aware of what they have and they acquire the knowledge to use it. Tobago is totally self-sufficient. Even electricity, you don't need the world. You don't need you. Tobago is sufficient, and on top of that, the rainforest of Tobago has a resource, huge resource of medicinal plant that can reverse all type of degenerative disease. You have aloe vera in Tobago. You have seed under leaf in Tobago. You have dandelion in Tobago. You have licorice in Tobago. You have everything. You have everything. So, but you think the brainwash you to believe that the best medicine you can take is when you go to the United States. You forget that United States is ranked 17 when it comes to standard of care. Standard of care, 17, and that's where you're going, and then you don't come back. So we have everything. We just need to now to focus. Stop giving the priority, the value to the wrong people. and acquire the knowledge and be respectful of people that have the intelligence and the knowledge. And don't fake it when you don't have it. Because when you fake it, you kill a lot of people. So, as you see, uh, Natoya, you just brought to me so many starch, oats, yam, all those things. They are good, but you cannot eat that every day. That's the mistake you make. Another option also for your breakfast in the morning with avocado. Oh, I forgot to combine avocado with my codfish. All right. When you have this is the
King
variety of
avocado, King avocado.
the
Yes.
avocado is because it provides you with all the fatty acid. I talk about essential amino acid, but you need essential fatty acid. That's what your brain needs. That's what your nerve needs. If you want to live alert, strong for a long time in your life, use avocado and use lecithin. 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 Lecithin is phenomenal because you get your phospholipids. That's what protect your nerves, that keep you young, that give a glow to your skin. So now we see, to resume ourselves to a certain extent, why you eat what you eat because food is the source of your energy. You have to pay attention to the percentage of food that you combine in your diet. And that combination must respect the percentage that your metabolic profile habilitate you to process. And if you don't know anything about your metabolic profile, how are you going to be able to balance your diet? So a lot of people, they're following a lot of, I'm doing a diet now, but they don't know anything about the metabolic profile. And they don't know in which proportion to combine their food, because you need to combine, you need to respect the proportion that your metabolic profile authorize, but you don't know. So some people, according to their metabolic profile, some people can be authorized to process, let's say, 60% carb, uh, 20%, 30% protein, and 10% fat. Yes, that's how it goes. And you need to be able to identify that proportion. Otherwise, you're going to create a lot of metabolic waste, and the metabolic waste will be responsible. You cannot eliminate them because it's very easy to accumulate a lot of waste, and that will cause you to develop degenerative disease, blood pressure,
Excellent.
arthritis.
Excellent.
A lot of, that's the
Excellent.
purpose of this
Yeah.
meeting today.
Yes, so guys, if you want to get some more information on your metabolic profile, of course, you can connect with Dr. Bastien via WhatsApp. The number is 1-407 765 5075. Today we're talking how to make food your medicine, but of course, you see, Dr. Bashan is so excited. He's sharing so much more nuggets in between. We always appreciate you with that. Of course, you could also visit the KENOR International Tobago's office. Based on the booking made by Dr. Bastian. And yeah, we are here every Wednesday from 1:30 p.m. for conversations on health. Dr. Bastian, as we are looking to wrap up, right, I want you to tell us about the connection or the implication of food and spirituality. I don't think you touched on that. If you could touch on that. I know it started on the spirituality, started on the frequency and how we should, really operate. But give us an idea of the connection of what that does for us as
And
spiritual
we have
beings.
many, each time that God is preparing somebody to become a messenger or a prophet, and that happened with John the Baptist. The Baptist, it was recommended that the mother should eat in a certain way. For Samson, the same thing. And each time that there is, for Jesus, the same thing. Jesus had to go to the wilderness to fast 40 days to prepare himself for the mission that he was supposed to accomplish upon earth. And what I love with the Seventh-day Adventist people, and although um, they have they have completely rejected the health reform, the health reform, and well, that's the way the Israelites they do things. God came up with the health reform, and the health reform, that means your diet is extremely important. That's why Ellen G. White wrote so many books, but very few people understand what Ellen G. White does really. But Harvard University, Loma Linda University, Andrews University, all of them, they inspired themselves of the book of Ellen G. White. Myself, when I was studying at the seminary, and I had a lot of friends with me, we were getting ready to go to study medicine in Belgium. We we connect ourselves to Ellen G. White. But I read a lot of books from Ellen G. White. And Ellen G. White has wrote a book about mind and personality. And she explained that the food that you eat will determine your mindset. Again, we see from the Bible, from Ellen G. White, and that's why you say the Seventh-day Adventist people, they are very strong into a health reform diet and things like that. You had Kellogg, you had Loma Linda. But the same Seventh-day Adventists came up with the vegetarian meat from Loma Linda, and that come from white people. And a lot of black people are eating the gluten, the vegetarian meat that triggered dementia. So you see, those white Seventh-day Adventists have been so pervert to introduce the health reform, to mess up the health reform. So a lot of people think they have to be vegetarian. When you have to be vegetarian, if you study nutrition, you don't need vegetarian meat. You need essential amino acid. Let me repeat that. So we have to correct. That's why we have a lot of young people, Seventh-day Adventists, family Seventh-day Adventists, that suffer with depression. Depression comes from brain inflammation and confusion. And Ellen G. White said depression is also an evil spirit. So mind, character, and personality, she wrote a book that is called by that name, Mind, Character, and Personality. Many people become criminals among the Seventh-day Adventists because they eat vegetarian meat. A lot of them eat a lot of junk food like McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, all those food, and KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken. All those food will disturb your judgment, will impair your judgment because the gluten trigger brain inflammation and it depletes your brain from zinc. So you need to eat food that have a high content in minerals and vitamins in order to have a balanced spirituality. What is spirituality? We need to understand that. Right? Spirituality has to do with mindset, the state of mind. Spiritual, ity means state. Spirit, that state of your spirit. That's what spirituality means. Spirituality doesn't mean that you have a kind of uh, esoteric power. It's not that. Your food, that's the same thing coming to your mood. Spirituality, spirit, the breath, state of the breath. The breath controls all your metabolism. The state of your breath. The breath is affected by what you eat. If you have a lot of toxins in your system, the Spirit of God, which is your breath in your nostril, the Spirit of God is the breath in your nostril. That's what you read in Job. So the Spirit of God cannot use all the avenues of the structure of your body clearly because they are loaded with toxins. It's the same thing when you want to use your car and you have a flat tire. The flat tire is toxins. You cannot go far with a flat tire. So although you're a good driver, there is gas in the tank and the engine of the car is perfect, but you have a flat tire. This is a because you have a nail that got into the wheel, and that is toxins. That's toxic. You may be eating certain food that is a nail in your tire. The Spirit of God cannot use you. Everything must be in perfect condition, in perfect working condition for the Spirit of God to use you. So there is a connection between your food and your spirituality. Now, more than ever, that's where you need to pay attention to your food. Because Bill Gates bought most all the farm all over the world because he's a reptilian. That means a criminal. His plan is to kill because he said that publicly that he has to reduce the global population. And he thinks he's authorized to do that. But God let those monkeys play their game because one day will come, and the day is soon, that they will have to pay for what they have done to mankind. Bill Gates and Fauci and other guys. Now, what we need to face, you need to take control of yourself. Don't expect that your spirituality to be on the top if you don't know how to control your diet. Your food poison your brain and your judgment become impaired because you're eating the wrong food. So that's why there's an intimate connection between what you eat and what and your spirituality. Your spirituality is the state of mind, your mindset. So there is much more to explain about mindset and spirituality. The Spirit of God can use you in a powerful way when your liver is doing good. But when you have a sick liver, you are an angry person. Anger control you. Jealousy, hate, resentment control you. When you eat food that overload your liver, that's the connection. So when you are constipated all the time, you cannot think clearly because you are dehydrated, because constipation retain fluid and make it difficult for you to release the toxins. And those toxins coming from your metabolic waste from your food continue to linger in your colon and be recycled in your blood. So you're toxic, your mind cannot be clear, and your brain is heavy. So you don't feel light. So you feel always frustrated and heavy. You don't feel that energy, that lightness that the Spirit of God require to use you. So you don't expect that you're going to be able to develop a personality that will fit heaven if your diet is not appropriate.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Dr. Bastian. That is how we are going to wrap up today's conversations on health. Or do you have more nuggets to share? I know we went over time a little bit due to the technical issues we had earlier. Yes, so that is how we're going to wrap up conversations on health today, guys. Thank you so much for your patience. Thank you so much for viewing. Remember, you can connect directly with Dr. Bastian at via WhatsApp, of course. The number is 1407 765 5075. All right, and you can also make an appointment to visit the KENOR International office that is here in Tobago, and you could get as well a copy of Dr. Bastian's book, Common Foods with Wonderful Healing Properties. All right, so thanks so much for joining us today. Thank you for Wilson's Music Center for having us here. I am Latoya Johnson Chapman. We will be here again next week, Wednesday. Hopefully, everything would flow smoothly for a nice conversations on health with Dr. Kenny Bastian. Looking forward to seeing you next week. Take care.
Thank you all.